touch the end of a log, feeling the rings of the wood, years of growth captured in timber, just as the years of labor are captured in the vessels you will soon see. The entrance to the potter's workshop is open, a dark rectangle inviting you in from the street. Inside, you can see the faint glow of embers, the remnants of yesterday's fire, still holding heat. You step across the threshold, leaving the open sky behind, entering a space of shadow and warmth. The air here is thick and still, smelling of dry dust and wet earth. Your eyes adjust slowly to the dim light, tracing the shapes of shelves lining the walls, rows upon rows of jars and bowls. Waiting in the silence, you feel the presence of the work here, the energy of 50 years of steady hands. You take a spot in the corner, settling down on a bench of worn wood, the grain smooth against your clothes. You are ready to watch, ready to lose yourself in the turning of the wheel, ready to sleep. You settle your weight onto the bench, feeling the solid presence of the worn wood beneath you. It is smooth from years of use, polished by the passage of time and the brush of heavy fabric. You let your shoulders drop, releasing the tension of the long walk. You breathe in the thick, warm air, tasting the mineral scent of the clay and the faint smokiness of the kiln. In the corner of the room, a small fire crackles in the hearth, casting long dancing shadows against the stone walls. The orange glow pulses softly, like a slow and steady heartbeat, illuminating the dust motes floating in the stillness. You watch them drift, tiny specks of earth suspended in the quiet air, rising and falling with the heat. Outside the small high window, you know the cold stars are watching, hanging in the vast silent sky above Rome. But in here, there is only warmth and the comforting smell of wet earth. Your eyes move to the center of the room, where the potter stands. He is a silhouette against the firelight, moving with a slowness that speaks of deep calm. He does not rush. He has done this 10,000 times before, and he will do it 10,000 times. You hear the soft rustle of his clothes, the sound of heavy fabric shifting as he moves. He adjusts his apron, a piece of soft leather worn thin and pliable, stained with the gray and red of the river mud. It ties around his waist, familiar and secure. He steps toward the wheel, a heavy disc of stone set low to the ground. It sits there waiting, a circle of stillness in the dim room. You watch his sandals move across the floor, dust puffing up gently around his heels. He takes a seat, a low wooden stool that creaks just once, a sound that is swallowed immediately by the silence. He leans forward, his posture relaxed and grounded, his hands resting on his knees for a moment, gathering the quiet focus needed for the work. You match your breathing to his rhythm, slow and deep, in and out. The air filling your lungs is heavy and soothing, grounding you in this ancient place. Beside the wheel sits a bucket of water. The surface is dark and glassy, reflecting the swaying lantern that hangs from a beam above. The lantern creaks softly on its hook, a pendulum marking the passage of time. Back and forth, back and forth, the potter reaches out a hand, breaking the surface of the water. Ripples spread outward to the edges of the bucket. Silent and smooth, he brings his wet hand up, shaking off the excess drops. You hear them splash back down, a tiny rhythmic sound like rain. Water movement is the only sound now. The gentle slosh of the bucket, the drip of the liquid from his fingertips. He reaches for a mound of clay. It sits on a slab of slate nearby, a dark gray lump of raw earth, dense and heavy. He lifts it with both hands, feeling its weight, feeling the moisture held within it. He pats it gently, shaping it into a rough ball. The sound of his palms against the wet clay is soft, a dull, rhythmic thudding. He is waking up the earth, preparing it for the journey. He leans over the wheel, positioning the clay at the very center of the stone. He presses it down firmly, sealing it to the surface. You watch the muscles in his forearms tense, just enough to hold the earth in place. And then, with a slow, deliberate motion of his leg, he kicks the heavy flywheel beneath the table. The great stone begins to turn, slowly at first, grinding against its axle with a low hum, a deep vibration that you can feel in the floor, traveling up through the soles of your feet. He kicks a steady rhythmic push, and the wheel gathers speed, spinning faster and faster, blurring into a gray circle. The hum becomes a drone, a constant soothing note that fills the room. It is a sound of continuity, a sound that has filled this room for 50 years. You watch the wheel spin, round and round, endless and perfect. Your eyes lock onto the motion, following the edge of the stone. It is hypnotic, lulling your mind into a state of blank peace. The lantern sways above, the fire crackles in the hearth, and the wheel turns, steady as the rotation of the earth itself. The potter dips his hands into the water, coating his skin in the cool liquid. He leans forward, bringing his wet hands to the spinning clay, and as he touches it, a hiss arises, the sound of friction and water and earth, smoothing out under the pressure. The clay begins to chain, yielding to the warmth of his palms. It transforms from a rough lump into a perfect centered mound, spinning true and silent. You watch his hands hold it steady, fingers locked together, thumbs pressing down. There is no wavering, only the solid certainty of the craft. You feel your eyelids growing heavy, weighted down by the comfort of the scene. The repetition is a balm for your mind. The spinning wheel, the swaying lantern, the steady breathing of the potter. Everything is a cycle. Everything returns to the start. You are safe here in the shadows, wrapped in the warmth of the kiln, watching the earth take shape, slowly, so slowly, under the guidance of 50 years of patience. The world outside has faded away, leaving only the turning stone, and the soft, wet sound of the clay, and the quiet beating of your own heart. slowing down, drifting down into the rhythm of the work. Now the wheel begins to slow, losing its momentum. The hum of the stone drops lower until it becomes a whisper, and then silence, absolute and heavy. The potter lifts his hands, covered in the gray slip of the earth. He sighs a breath of contentment, steady breathing, filling the small room with a sense of peace. The day is done. The work is finished. 50 years of days, just like this one, have come and gone, leaving behind rows of vessels and a spirit that knows how to rest. You watch as he stands. His movements are deliberate and unhurried. He moves to a basin of water. In the corner of the workshop, the water movement is gentle, rippling softly as he dips his hands in, washing away the clay, returning the earth to the water. The cool liquid feels soothing. Against the warmth of his skin, you can almost feel it yourself, a cleansing coolness that washes away the effort of the day. He dries his hands on a piece of heavy fabric, rough and textured against his palms, and then he turns to the shelves where the new pots sit waiting. He takes a damp cloth, heavy fabric soaked in water, and gently covers the drying clay, protecting it from the air, keeping it safe through the long night. The smell of the damp cloth mixes with the scent of the wood smoke. A fire crackles softly in the small hearth, casting long dancing shadows. Against the walls, the light is warm and orange, flickering over the worn wood of the workbench, smoothed by decades of touch, smoothed by the sliding of tools and the leaning of elbows. You feel the history in that wood, the memory of 1,000 quiet evenings, just like this one, outside the workshop window. The world is changing its rhythm. The bright noise of the afternoon has faded, replaced by the muffled sounds of evening. You can hear the distant footsteps of travelers, walking on the stone paving, sandals of soft leather, scuffing gently against the road. They are returning home, just as you are returning to yourself. Laborers carrying their tools, merchants closing their stalls. The great city is breathing out, a long, slow exhalation that settles over the rooftops and flows through the narrow streets. You look out past the wooden shutters and see a swaying lantern carried by a night watchman. The light swings back and forth, a pendulum of soft yellow, marking the passage of time. Back and forth, hypnotic and calm. Above the roofline of the pottery shop, the sky has turned a deep indigo, and the first cold stars are appearing, pinpricks of ancient light, watching over the sleeping world. They have seen this city rise. They have seen the potter work. They have seen you, and they offer their silent comfort. The air growing cooler now, a fresh breeze that smells of the river and the distant sea. It drifts through the window, cooling the heat of the kiln, balancing the warmth of the room. You feel a heaviness in your shoulders, a pleasant weight that pulls you down towards comfort. The potter extinguishes the lamp on his table. The room dims, leaving only the glow of the embers. The fire crackles one last time, settling into the ash. The shadows merge into a soft darkness, a blanket of velvet, wrapping around you, wrapping around the vessels, wrapping around the history of this place. You are safe here, in the quiet of the ancient world. There is nothing left to do, no more clay to throw, no more shapes to form. The cycle is complete. The wheel is still. Your breathing is steady, matching the slow rhythm of the night. In and out, deep and slow, you feel the support of the bed beneath you, or perhaps it is the worn wood of the bench. It does not matter. You are supported. You are held by the earth and the silence. Your eyelids are heavy, so heavy it feels good to close them, to shut out the swaying lantern and the cold stars, and to turn inward to the warm, dark space of sleep. The sounds of the travelers fade away. The scuff of soft leather is gone, leaving only the beat of your heart, slowing down, drifting, floating on the surface of the quiet. Like a leaf on a still pond, you are drifting, drifting into the deep, restful silence of the past you. Step in from the cool evening air, into the deep warmth of the workshop. The heavy wooden door closes behind you, shutting out the world, shutting out the noise of the village. Here there is only the sound of the fire, the gentle crackle of dry wood burning. In the stone hearth, the air is thick and comforting, smelling of dried earth and wood smoke, and the faint, sweet scent of baking bread. You move slowly toward the center of the room, where a rough table stands, made of worn wood, smoothed by 50 years of hands. Resting upon it, the grain of the timber flows like water, dark and rich with age. There is a simple meal waiting there, left for the end of a long day. A round loaf of bread, crusty and warm, wrapped in a piece of heavy fabric to keep the heat inside. Beside it, a small bowl of olive oil, golden and clear, shining in the light of the swaying lantern. You can see the steam rising from the bread, twisting slowly into the shadows, dancing with the dust motes that float in the stillness. You take a deep breath, filling your lungs with the savory air. The smell of rosemary and salt mingles with the scent of the clay. It is a grounding smell, ancient and familiar. Your eyes drift to the corner where the tools of the trade rest, silent and waiting. The potter's wheel sits low to the ground, a heavy disc of stone and wood. It has spun 1,000,000 times, turning round and round. Like the earth itself, there is a bucket of water nearby, the surface still and dark, reflecting the orange glow of the embers. You can hear the water lap gently against the sides of the clay pot, a soft rhythmic sound that matches the beating of your heart. Beside the wheel, a stack of wooden ribs, worn thin by years of shaping wet clay. They lie in a neat row, smooth as river stones, waiting for the morning light, waiting for the hands that know them best. Near the warmth of the kiln, an old dog lies sleeping, curled into a tight ball on a mat of woven rushes. Its coat is thick and coarse, the color of dried hay. Its breathing is steady and deep, a slow rise and fall of heavy fur. You watch the movement, hypnotized by the rhythm. In and out, in and out. The dog shifts slightly, letting out a long, contented sigh, settling deeper into the warmth, paws twitching in a dream of running fields. But here all is still. Here all is safe. You run your hand along the wall, feeling the rough plaster, warmed by decades of fires. The light from the lantern dances, casting long shadows that stretch and fade. Like memories in the back of your mind, there is a pile of clay in the far corner, covered by a damp cloth, heavy and cool. You can smell the river in it, the scent of wet stone and deep water, ancient and clean, ready to be shaped, ready to become something new, yet the same as it has always been. You take a seat on a low wooden stool. The leather seat is soft beneath you, worn smooth and dark with age, yielding gently to your weight. You lean back against the wall and close your eyes for a moment, listening to the room. The fire crackles, a spark pops and settles into the ash. The heat washes over your face, relaxing the muscles around your eyes, relaxing the tension in your jaw, relaxing your shoulders, letting them drop away from your ears. You are safe here, surrounded by the tools of creation, surrounded by the quiet history of work. You think of the potter who has sat in this very spot for 50 long years, throwing the same vessels, day after day, season after season. The repetition is a comfort, a steady line through time, like the grain in the wood of the table, like the path of the cold, stars in the sky outside. Everything here has a place. Everything here has a purpose, worn down to its essence, just like the stones in the riverbed, smoothed by the endless flow of water. The smell of the oil lamp mixes with the clay, a scent of home and industry. Your breathing slows down, matching the slow sway of the lantern overhead. Back and forth, back and forth. The shadows rock you gently. The warmth wraps around your shoulders like a heavy wool blanket, pulling you down into a place of rest, into the quiet heart of the workshop, where time moves slower, where the only thing that matters is the spinning of the wheel and the peace of the night. You look at the shelves lining the walls, filled with finished pots, rows and rows of them, standing like silent sentinels. Their curves are identical. Their purpose is clear: holding water, holding grain, holding oil, simple things for a simple life. The terracotta glows softly in the dim light, radiating the heat they absorbed from the kiln days ago. They are solid and real, anchoring you to this moment, anchoring you to the earth. You feel the heaviness of your eyelids growing with every breath. The fire hisses softly as a log shifts and settles, sending a shower of tiny sparks up the chimney to join the stars above. You are here in the warmth, in the quiet, ready to listen, ready to rest, you settle deeper into the cushions, letting the support beneath you hold your full weight. There is no need to hold on, no need to carry anything anymore. The fire in the hearth has burned down to glowing coals, a bed of soft, pulsating orange heat that breathes in the darkness. You watch the light dim, fading gently, like the slow closing of an eye. The air in the room is still, heavy with comfort, and you let your mind drift, drifting away from the here and now, drifting back on the currents of time, back to the rhythm of the potter, back to the beginning of the day. Imagine the world before the sun rises, before the noise of the market begins, before the carts rattle on the stones. You are standing at the threshold of your home, wrapping a heavy wool cloak around your shoulders. The fabric is thick and coarse, woven tightly to keep out the chill. It feels substantial in your hands, a protective layer against the morning air. You pull it closer, feeling the warmth of your own body, trapped beneath the layers. You step out onto the street, and the air meets your face, cool and clean and sharp. It smells of night dew and cold stone. You begin to walk, a journey you have made thousands of times before. For 50 years, your feet have traced this path, wearing an invisible groove in the city. Your leather sandals are old friends. The straps are worn soft, darkened by oil and use, pliable against your skin. You can feel the texture of the ground through the thick leather soles. The paving stones are uneven, some rounded by centuries of rain, some flat and broad. You know every step. Your body knows the rhythm, shifting your weight without thinking, a gentle sway from side to side, walking through the blue light of dawn. Above you, between the silhouettes of the buildings, the sky is a deep indigo ocean, vast and silent. The cold stars are still visible, faint pinpricks of ancient light, watching over the sleeping city. They seem frozen in place, steady and calm, anchoring the heavens, while you walk below, anchoring the earth. You carry a lantern in your right hand. The metal handle swings slightly, squeaking softly with a rhythmic metallic sound. Inside the glass, a small flame flickers, feeding on the oil seed, casting a warm yellow circle. Around your feet, you watch the circle of light move, sliding over the cobblestones, revealing the texture of the rock, revealing the small tufts of moss growing in the cracks. The light pushes back the shadows, but only for a moment, before the shadows return, stretching long and thin behind you, swaying as the lantern sways, like dark fabric billowing in a slow wind. There is a hypnotic quality to the movement of the light, back and forth, matching the slow cadence of your breath. You pass a public fountain, standing alone in a small square. The water flows from a bronze spout, worn smooth by the touch of many hands. It falls into the stone basin below, with a steady melodic splashing, the sound of water, continuous